Hey there neighbors, Kevin here with eTrailer, and today we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the Optronics replacement tail light with mounting flange and smoke lens here on our enclosed trailer. So our neighbor came to us today with a broken tail light. One of the lights just went out, so we just opted to go ahead and replace both. That way they're both still going to be matching. And whenever you're replacing your trailer tail lights, I highly recommend switching over to an LED option like our Optronics tail light that we have right here. Now this specific one is going to come with a smoke lens and then red LEDs, and this is going to have a mounting flange, but it's not going to include the mounting hardware, so you will have to source that yourself or just reuse what you already have there if it is still in good shape. Now when you do go to do this, I highly recommend picking up some butyl tape and maybe some sealant as well, because there isn't a gasket on the back of this mounting flange. So what I did when I installed it was I threw in some butyl tape at each one of my mounting holes, and I also sealed up the hole for our wiring with some more butyl tape and then some gasket maker on the back side, on the inside of our trailer there, so I don't ever have to worry about water getting in and potentially ruining the walls of our trailer or rusting or corroding anything else out. Now there is also an option to add on a trim ring on here. We don't have that with us today, but that is an option. If you're wanting to stick with that nice silver look, you could throw on a silver trim ring. That way it's still matching up with the diamond plate. But really this is all going to be a case-by-case situation, just depending on what your trailer really looks like. So breaking down this a little bit more, we're going to have 21 LEDs in here, and these are going to have a lifetime warranty. So say this goes out later on in the future, we can just reach out to Optronics, get this swapped out, and then we're not spending extra money on our trailer anymore. With the smoke lens, that's going to have a little bit of a darker look to it versus just that clear lens, but overall the smoke lens should appear a little bit nicer over time. Typically the clear lenses start to kind of yellow out and really don't look as nice, and they're not allowing as much light through. So having that smoke lens on there is going to kind of help, so everyone can really see what we have going on when we're making our turns or stops. So this tail light is going to be 7 9/16 in length and then 2 3/4 inches wide. So you might want to do a little bit of measurement before you go ahead and purchase these lights. Just make sure that that's going to match up with the space that you actually have. Typically if you're throwing this on an enclosed trailer, sometimes that door is pretty wide, so you might not be able to get a full, giant tail light on here. You might have to go with a thinner style strip light, just depending on what your setup is. But for the most part, that is a pretty small size, so it's not like it's super crazy big for you there. But aside from that, this is going to run on 12 volts, so you won't have to do any kind of additional electronical changes here. This is going to plug right in with our wiring. Typically what most people are going to use is just the quick splices, so it's just kind of biting into the wire, ripping the casing just a little bit to make that connection with our actual wiring that is ran through our trailer when it comes to an enclosed trailer. But I typically find that the quick splices don't always want to stay the best. Sometimes you got to go over there and kind of wiggle it. An example of that is on the front of our trailer, that top clearance light that we had, it was kind of going in and out, so I had to go up there, pull back the trim, and then just kind of wiggle that connector and squeeze it down a little bit more. So if you don't want to have that hassle, definitely pick up some butt connectors, and then you can just use those instead to make sure you have a nice tight contact with all of your wiring. But with all that said, let's talk about the installation itself. Super simple. When it comes to an enclosed trailer, you typically have some kind of trim piece that's hidden on the inside, hiding all your wiring. And with that, you just have to pop the couple of screws out, get the trim out of the way, and then you can get to the wiring. And it's just going to be 3 simple wires. Now this does come with a 3-pole plug, which you would typically use if you were doing this on the outside. Say you had a utility trailer and all the wiring's exposed. In our case, we didn't really need to do that, so I just snipped that off and I used the connectors that we had in there already just to connect to, so that way we weren't mixing and matching a whole bunch and doing a whole lot extra here, because we don't really need to add on that 3-pole plug on the inside wiring, just because all this is encased. We don't have to ever worry about water getting in there and potentially damaging anything. So if this is something that you feel like you just don't want to do, maybe you just don't have the time to do so, please feel free to use our dealer locator, and you can enter in your zip code to find a shop near you and get these professionally installed. If you're wanting to do this yourself, then stick around and I'll walk you through the process. Starting off our install, we got to figure out exactly how we're going to need to remove this. And if I take a quick look at our trim ring that goes around it, you can see these little indentions at each corner here, and those are going to tell me that there's a piece that we can pry off. So I'm going to stick a small flathead screwdriver in there. That popped out. And now we can see we've got some mounting holes. So if we start pulling that out, that'll give us some of the wiring, but we really want to kind of see on the inside too. So on enclosed trailers, they typically have some kind of metal trim piece that runs up the corner just to kind of hide all your wiring for your tail lights and any kind of clearance light you got already in place. So I'm going to pop all the screws out of this. We'll pop this out of the way, and that's going to give us access to our wiring. So you can see the wiring, and they just use some quick splices to attach each of our wires. So for our ground here though, that we are going to have running into the frame rail. So right behind this wood there's a frame, and it's all metal, so that's what you're using to ground the lights with. And then we're going to have our running light signal and also our brake and our turn signal as well. So I can disconnect our quick splices here, and you can reuse these if they're still in pretty good shape, but essentially all you're doing is just popping the little cap off, popping the wire out, and we'll let that just kind of sit to the side. So one thing we want to do is hook up to either our tow vehicle, or if you have a test box like we do. I have the left turn signal going, which you can see, and we're just going to test our wires, see which one's our tail light or our running lights, and then which one's our turn. So starting out with this green wire, and this is the black wire on our light. We're not getting anything. We switch over to the red, getting my left turn. So we know the red wire is our left turn and stop. The green wire is going to be our running lights, and then white we're just going to ground right to the frame. So now we know that, we can start disconnecting it the rest of the way. We'll just simply pop out the wire. With our wiring figured out, now I'm going to unmount our old tail light. And we'll pop that out. Now for this, I'll just probably wipe it down, make it nice and clean. And for some reason they also shot a just random screw in there. We're going to pop that out as well so it doesn't interfere with our new surface mount light. So with the new lights, this does have a different style connector on it. It's got the 3-prong connector. We aren't going to be using that today just because this is an enclosed trailer. All the wiring is going to be tucked inside, and I'm going to do a little bit of waterproofing right here, so I don't need to worry about it. So I'm actually going to snip this connector off. If you did want to use this, you could just get the other half of the harness, which is the male side of the plug with just bare wire on the end. Like I said though, this is more for if you have a trailer that's all the wiring is going to sit outside, so utility trailers, stuff like that. And I want it to face up. All right, so for my mounting holes, I also have some butyl tape, and then I'm also going to cover this hole right here with some more butyl tape as well. That way we don't have any water getting back behind here, because there is not a gasket, so it is enclosed and has resin in it, so the light itself is encased, so there's nothing that's going to get in there and damage the light, but we always run the risk of water getting behind the mounting flange here and then just getting inside our trailer walls, and then it's rotting out the wood and any kind of screws we got in there, so we don't really want that to happen. So I'm going to clean this up a little bit. I'll put a little piece of butyl tape at each one of my mounting holes, and then we'll pop it on and shoot our screws through. So I'm leaving a little hole here for my wiring to pass through, and then on the other side I'm going to backfill that with some gasket maker just to make sure this is really sealed up nice and tight. I'll probably put another one on this hole too. I don't know why, but they stuck a screw, and on the other side as well, just a random one under the light. So let's cover that up too. I'm going to be reusing these two mounting holes, so those I'll leave for right now. Make sure we have that facing the right way. And then we can pass our wiring through. Now the butyl tape that I put on the back side for each of these screw holes is going to help hold it in place while I grab my screws. The mounting hardware isn't included, so in this case you could either reuse what you already have or just purchase some new. I have some nice black painted square bit heads I'm going to be using on this just to make everything match and make it look nice. Backfill this with some gasket maker. So since I'm just going to reuse those quick splices, what I'm going to do is only strip back the casing on my ground wire because we are going to have to put a ring terminal on there. And with how thin this is, I might just do a little bit extra and then fold it over too, just to give it a little bit more stiffness. So we'll twist it up. And then just fold that in half. Slide on our ring terminal. And then we'll crimp that down. And then I'm just going to reuse that same mounting screw we had before. And it looks like our hole was right here, but I just want to double check, make sure that that's actually hitting some metal. So it feels like there's like angle iron right behind here, so that's pretty good. Let's go right back in there. All right, now our red wire on our taillight is going to be for our left turn and our stop. So we'll press that on. Take our pliers, press down the little metal tab. Let that fully bite into our wire. Close that up. Now the black wire is going to run to our running lights, which is our green wire in this case. So we'll place it on, and same thing, just squeeze it down, making sure we got it in the right slot. Now that we've got all of our wiring connections made, I'm going to go up front and we're going to turn on our test box, test out our taillights. So here you can see we have the left turn going. We've checked our taillights, so we've got running lights working, and the process for this is going to be the same over on our other side. Now, I've already done the the passenger side, sorry, and the wire colors were different, so it's a good idea to just make sure that you're actually testing those wires and figuring out what they are, what their function is, before you go ahead and just hook up. That way you don't end up shorting out your light or just having it send out the incorrect signals once you have everything kind of tucked away. Now at this point, all we have left to do is really just kind of tuck our wiring back in place, put that metal sheet back up, and kind of hide all the wiring, and we're all good to go. Now we can test out our light functions. We have our running light, our left turn, our right turn, and finally our brake lights. That's going to do it for our look at and installation of the Optronics replacement taillight with smoke lens and mounting flange here on our enclosed trailer. My name's Kevin. If you still have some questions about what's going to be the right replacement taillight, or just some installation questions, maybe you just need some help getting them installed on your specific trailer, then please feel free to reach out to us via our Ask the Experts link, a comment on this video, or a phone call to our customer service department, and we'd be happy to help you out on your journey.